Chick-fil-A, St. Vincent, Glenda Roachford, Steve's Flowers and Gifts, Beck Service Center, McDonald's, Indiana Members Credit Union, and Roncalli High School. Rob Brown is on the call. It's time for the McDonald's pregame show.
And a pleasant good evening, everyone, and welcome to Roncalli Rebels basketball here on CBS Sports 1430, the Rebel Media Network, and streamed on YouTube. Rob Brown and Nick Michael with you tonight, and we are at the Woodshed. So happy to be back home. Rebels at home for the first time in a couple of weeks, opening up the 2019 season with longtime rival, the Cathedral Irish, who come in ranked number 6 in the state at 10-2. Meanwhile, the Rebels are 2-6. And, Nick, this Rebel team has not played in almost 2 weeks. You have to go back to the 2 games at Floyd Central back on December the 22nd, and those were 2 games that the Rebels lost by 5 points each, 1 to Floyd Central and 1 to Class 1A Lanesville. Either one of those games could have been Rebel wins, much like the other 4 losses this season. So chance to regroup, though, with those 2 weeks off and make some adjustments in practice.
Yeah, and some of those losses that we've seen here in the season, really close games that could go either way. Some of that experience that we've talked about throughout the season, you really like a break like that so you can get regrouped, refocused for a big game like this.
Well, this Cathedral team, 10-2, they've won 8 in a row, including the 8-team Richmond tournament last weekend. That's the second straight year they've won that tournament, and they won in the championship game, defeated a top 10 ranked Zionsville team in overtime and winning by 2 points, coming from 20 points down to win that game. Certainly, and we'll talk more about this as we get deeper into the McDonald's pregame show, but Armand Franklin, the center of attention, the IU signee, a candidate for Mr. Basketball, he'll be the target of everybody's eyes tonight.
Yeah, but Roncalli can't worry about that right now. I mean, they know already that Cathedral has star power all over the court, and Roncalli just needs to go out there and play their own game. You hear it all the time at all levels that each team just needs to play their own game, and I think that it holds true especially here tonight.
Well, the Rebels shaking up the starting lineup. We'll talk more about that as we move through the McDonald's pregame show, but Roncalli looking to get back in the winning track. Several home games here this month, and the county tournament right around the corner. That'll kick off next Tuesday night with North Central coming in here to the Woodshed. But first things first, we've got the rivalry game between Roncalli and Cathedral. 56 meeting all-time between these two programs. Cathedral leads the all-time series 44-11, but the Rebels and Cathedral have split the last 6 games here at the Woodshed. Well, as we do before each and every ball game on our McDonald's pregame show, we caught up with Rebel head coach Michael Wantz to get his thoughts on the layoff, what sorts of things the Rebels were able to accomplish in the last 2 weeks of practice, as well as what he looks for as keys to tonight's matchup. Here was that conversation. Rebels head coach Michael Wantz, Rebels opening up the 2019 portion of the schedule, taking on 6th-ranked Cathedral tonight here at the Woodshed. Before we get into the matchup tonight, it's been almost 2 weeks since your last game, Coach. What sorts of things were you able to get accomplished, and what were the focal points in practice here, mindful of the fact that you had some holidays worked in there too?
Yeah, we were able with the 2-week break to give them some time off, came back Friday of last week, and really just talked about making sure you compete on every possession, both offensively and defensively, and competing for loose balls, but competing to make sure we get a good shot, you know, competing to make sure the other team doesn't get a great shot. Tried to iron out our motion offense a little bit. What are we going to do once the set breaks down? So we had some good week and a half or so of practice on that, and I think we'll come out and be ready to go tonight.
Given the 2 losses at Floyd Central and that long bus ride back, how much did that, maybe the time off and then the long practice time in between games and a chance to hit the reset button do for your team?
Yeah, I think it was good. I mean, obviously, was feeling all kinds of things after the 2 losses at Floyd, when really we could have won both of them very easily. So I think it was good for everybody to get away a little bit, spend some time with their families, and kind of regroup. And like I said, been a good week of practice.
Cathedral, the opponent tonight, they come in having won 8 straight. They won the Richmond Holiday Tournament for the 2nd year in a row. Obviously, Armand Franklin is the key to the scouting report, but what other things do you see from them?
Well, they're talented at all the positions. The freshman point guard, really breaks you down, dive bombs, gets into the lane, kicks out to shooters. James Franklin is a great player. Hensley's out there shooting. Obviously Monty Falco is a load inside. So they just kind of have all the pieces, and, you just got to kind of make it hard for them, hope to compete, stick around, and maybe hope they get tight towards the end of the game.
When you play a team like this that's ranked and has that kind of talent level, do some of the usual keys apply in terms of not giving up run-out turnovers, not giving up, extended possessions on offensive rebounds?
Sure, yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't give live ball turnovers. I'd rather travel or throw it out of bounds or take it a 5-second call than something where they can break out, something where we can get our defense set. And you don't want to give them more than one opportunity. And also then offensively, we've been talking a lot about early bad shots as transition for them. Like, we've got to be able to take care of the ball and get a great shot every time and not take quick guarded threes that'll go back the other way with long rebounds.
Rebels taking on Cathedral tonight before jumping into the county tournament here next week against North Central. Good luck tonight, Coach.
Thanks, Rob.
That's Rebels head coach Michael Wantz. We're back after this on CBS Sports 1430.
Marian University wants to know, what are you made of? At Marian University, our students are made of character and faith.
Okay, David, 2 minutes. Sounding good. Stretch sounds good.
Our students possess the skills and intellect required of leaders. Come to Marian University and
hey, if you need anything, take down my, just text me. Let me give you my number in case you don't have it. It's 317-650-8899.
Steve's Flowers and Gifts has exactly what you're looking for. Check out our wide selection of flower arrangements to make your next occasion memorable. Call 317-787-3431 or visit us at 3150 East Thompson Road. Injured? OrthoIndy Urgent Care Clinics are available to treat your bone, joint, and muscle injuries. OrthoIndy Urgent Care Clinics are located in Indianapolis, Brownsburg, Fishers, Greenwood, and Westfield, and are open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. Weekend hours are also available. Avoid the wait, cost, and drama of the ER. Visit OrthoIndy Urgent Care for bone, joint, and muscle injuries. Visit orthoindy.com/urgent care for more information.
The McDonald's pregame.
Conference teams in action. 8th-ranked Brebeuf in 3A taking on 10th-ranked Zionsville. That's a 4A Zionsville program. Bishop Chattardi and Guerin Catholic playing the only Circle City Conference matchup tonight. That game at Guerin. Some other games of note. North Central, who will be in here on Tuesday night, they're hosting Ben Davis. 8th-ranked Center Grove hosting 2nd-ranked Carmel. 9th-ranked Hamilton Southeastern hosting number 7 Lawrence Central. Number 1 Warren Central on the road at Lawrence North. Cardinal Ritter hosting Monrovia. And Southport's on the road at winless Franklin Central. We turn our attention now in our McDonald's pregame show to Nick and see what he has on his mind for tonight's keys to the game.
Well, for the keys to the game tonight, we'll start with Roncalli. We talked before the game, but I kind of want emotions to be a part of this game a little bit. You have the home crowd on your side. Play with an intensity, and you'll see that result reflected back from the crowd. They'll get into it, and then the tide will begin to turn in Roncalli's favor if they can play hard and play smart for the entire length of this game. Also for Roncalli, pace is very, very important in this game. They don't want to get sped up or slow down too much to play into Cathedral's hands. I think that if Roncalli can play to their own speed, play with the pace that they want to, control the game from their standpoint, then I think they'll have a good chance tonight. for Cathedral, the one big key that I've seen from Cathedral is their size. They have a couple of big fellas inside. So if they get those rebounds both on the defensive and offensive end, work it inside out a little bit on the offense, and they'll have a good chance tonight.
Well, you heard Micah Wantz in our pregame chat. The usual cliches apply when you've got a what looks like a difficult task on paper from a talent standpoint. You've got to limit the second chance points, limit the offensive rebounds for the Irish. You certainly have to limit the live ball turnovers. You heard Michael Wantz say if the Rebels were going to turn it over, you'd rather the ball goes out of bounds, the 5-second count, anything where the official has to handle it and you can get your defense back. And then you've got to make some three-pointers. That's the great equalizer. And Roncalli has had some success doing that this year. They're shooting a very impressive, as a team, 44% from the arc.
Yeah, and they're cliches for a reason because, I mean, they are very, very emphasized throughout the game. Coach Wantz knows what he's doing, obviously, but I think that what Roncalli has to do tonight is a tall task, but they can't worry about it. If they get too caught up with Cathedral, a big-name school, or the talent on the other side, then they won't be playing their game, and that's what's most important in a game like this.
Well, we mentioned the last 6 times these two teams have played here at the Woodshed, it's 3-3. They've split the 6 games. Rebels won the last time out. The Rebels won this matchup here at the Woodshed. That was 2 years ago, and that was an 18-point Roncalli win, 68-50, and that was the biggest win ever for the Rebels against Cathedral. Last year, the Irish won on their floor by the score of 52-39. That was a tie game at halftime before Cathedral outscored the Rebels in the second half, 32-19. Overall, the Rebels have seen Cathedral win 9 of the last 11 in the annual series. That goes back to 1969. This is only the second year that this game was moved on the schedule. Traditionally, this game was played the week of the girls basketball sectional or the week after. So this usually was an early February game, which school was back in session and you were pretty much guaranteed a sellout when the game was here. Last year, the game was moved to the Friday at the back end of the holiday break. So that makes it a little more difficult, I think, Nick, to fill the building up. So the Rebels, to an extent, we're going to have a great crowd here tonight, but not a full house.
Yeah.
The Rebels are going to have to an extent, bring some of their own energy.
Yeah, and I remember in grade school coming to the Roncalli Cathedral game because that was the game. And it was always a packed house. I mean, standing room only. You couldn't find anywhere to even stand normally. But I think you're right that Roncalli does have to bring their own energy. But obviously they're going to need to draw from the emotions of the game and from the crowd tonight.
Well, Cathedral, we mentioned coming off a win over Zionsville. Rebels losing 2 at Lanesville. Rebels are 2-2 at home. And those are their only 2 wins of the season. Wins over Guerin Catholic and wins over Cecina Memorial. And in both of those games, the Rebels never trailed. In the 6 losses, they led at some point in each of those games, led in the second half at some point in each of those games. Meanwhile, Cathedral is 2-2 on the road. They began the season 2-2 and have won 8 straight, but those 2 losses, no shame in either one of those. They lost at Center Grove by 3 points the weekend after Thanksgiving, and then the following weekend lost at number 1 Warren Central. That was a 22-point loss. And Nick, another thing to point out, close games. The Rebels have played 5 games that were decided by 5 points or less. 5 of their 8. Whereas Cathedral has only played 2 games that have been decided by 5 points or less. Most of their games, albeit them wins, have been lopsided affairs. So if it's a tight game down the stretch, that might favor the Rebels as they've had more of those this year.
Yeah, and I mean, you always talk about the experience that a team has, how much preparation they've had in those moments, the in-game experience. So definitely, Coach Wantz talked about it in the pregame interview. If they can stick around, maybe even it would start to frustrate Cathedral, I feel like, because you're right, Cathedral has had these blowout games. So if Roncalli can really start to get in their head, frustrate them because of how good they're playing them, then I think it's a huge swing for Roncalli.
Well, it's 2-6 Roncalli taking on 10-2. Cathedral ranked number 6 in Class 4A in the state of Indiana. We'll take our second and final break here on the McDonald's pregame show. When we come back, we'll have all the particulars. We'll have the starting lineup, and we'll have the tip from the Woodshed. Great crowd on hand. Glad you're with us. We're back in 2 minutes on CBS Sports 1430.
Hi folks, it's Ben Stallings from Beck Service Center. As longtime supporters of Roncalli High School, we are proud to back the Rebel athletic teams, fine arts department, and academic teams. As excellence abounds on the grounds of Roncalli,
Every day, we go farther, try harder, and do things others think are impossible. But for people who are passionate about what they do, it's normal. At Ortho Indy, we make sure of it. As the largest sports medicine group in Indiana and the official orthopedic provider for the Pacers, our specialists work to treat your injury from diagnosis to recovery and get you back in the game, because you were built to perform. Ortho Indy Sports Medicine, helping you get normal back, whatever your normal looks like.
What time do you have to be back to heaven?
Milto Cleaners, we're pickup artists when it comes to your clothes.
Freshman, averaging 10.5 points per game. James Franklin, a 6-foot senior, one of three double-figure scorers. He averages 10.3 points per game. The third guard, Justin Hensley, the Chittard transfer, 6'4", senior, averaging 10.5 points per game. On the front line, Armand Franklin, 6'5", a senior, averaging 23 points per game. And Haven Montefalco, a 6'4", senior, averaging 4 points per game. Jason Delaney, the head coach in his third season at Cathedral. He's 44-16. 15 years overall. He's 222 and 121. That includes state championships at Waldron in 2004 and Tech in 2014, assisted by Matt Jones and Michael O'Brien. For the Rebels in the backcourt, Jacob Denny, 6'2", a senior, averaging a team best 12.5 points per game. Johnny Brunk, the point guard, 6'2", the sophomore, averaging 10 points per game. The third guard, Anthony Donahue, 6'2", a sophomore, averaging 11 points per game. Brandon Berger gets his first varsity start, 6'5", the senior, averaging 2 points per game. And the other forward, Alex Stroud, back in the starting lineup for the first time in 6 games. Alex, a 6'5", junior, averaging 2 points per game. Michael Wantz, the head coach, winningest coach in school history. He is 243 and 123 here at Roncalli in 17 seasons, assisted by Ian Brown and John Hasty. Rebels in the home whites, royal blue Rebel script, red numerals and the royal blue trim, red Cross R logo on the hips. Cathedral in the traveling dark blues, gold Cathedral lettering, gold numerals, and the green and gold trim. Veteran officiating crew tonight are crew chief Mark Stauffer, PJ Pitts, and Mark Hopper. Rebels going right to left from our vantage point in this first half. We're high atop the gym behind the benches. And the back tap, Franklin against Stroud, and Cathedral wins it. Comer, who's a South Sider, runs the point for Cathedral. Checked out front by Denny. Rebels in a man-to-man to start. Franklin played by Brunk. Hensley's run off a screen. A long three out front is good. Now Hensley, 80% of his shots are three-pointers. He came in with 34 on the season. And he puts the Irish on top, 3-0. Berger handling away from the play, gives to Denny. Now Brunk out front to get it. Cathedral also opening in a man-to-man. Brunk holds at the high right. Franklin gives him plenty of space. James Franklin, I should say. Two Franklins in the lineup for Cathedral. No relation. Brunk gets a high screen. Now dribbles to the wing. Picks up his dribble. Nope, he traveled. Dragged the pivot foot. Jason Delaney ditches his sport coat. Just 49 seconds in. 3-0 the score. Cathedral leads. First minute from the woodshed. Comer takes it to the wing against Denny. Hensley off a screen against Donahue. Back to Comer right side. Gets a screen from Montefiore. Comer stop and go dribble to Franklin. He drives on Brunk. Lost the handle on the way up. And he missed the shot. Denny up high to get it.
Good defense there. Nice pressure. Always keeping the players in front of him, not letting it drive past.
Yeah, Brunk did not give Denny, or Franklin rather, an opportunity to catch it cleanly. Johnny surveys out front, has the dribble available. Takes it to the far sideline. Crosses up on Franklin. Picked up his dribble, fires over to Donahue. He had a three momentarily, but pulled it back as Hensley came out just enough to contest a potential shot. Donahue drives to the wing, back out front, Brunk. Johnny's played by Comer on a switch. Johnny drives on Comer to the baseline. Caught off on a double, and he traveled again. So that's two turnovers by Brunk to start the game. I didn't really see that second one. The hard stop that the gentlemen in the stripes tonight have dubbed a travel.
Yep.
3-0 the score, 2 minutes in. Armand Franklin, his first touch. Hard to believe that Cathedral went two possessions without Franklin touching the ball. Now the lob inside. He got behind, and Berger had to foul him at the rim to prevent the dunk.
Yep.
So Brandon's first foul. Rebel first. Armand Franklin shoots two. He is a 68%er on the year. Sets, fires, got the first. Franklin, who will play at Indiana University next year, I think he's a legitimate candidate for Mr. Basketball. Measures the second. That one's good. 5-0 start to the game for the Irish.
But it's nothing explosive that Cathedral's done. Roncalli's just had a couple unforced errors that I think they could
nice
clean
bounce
up.
On the back cut. Denny got in deep, faking at the rim, put it up and in. Good setup by Brunk. On the back cut pass to Denny. Jacob lays it in and get the Rebels on the board.
Easy game.
Comer drives to the corner, pull-up jumper's good. That's smooth from the freshman Comer. He had 12 points and an impressive 11 assists in that overtime win over Zionsville last Saturday night. Denny stop and go over to Donahue at the right. Gives to Brunk out front. Johnny pivots away. James Franklin stuck a hand in to poke it loose and committed the foul. That's the first on James Franklin, first on Cathedral in the ball game. 7-2 the score. Cathedral leads Roncalli at the woodshed. Brunk over to Denny, right of the lane. Denny finds Donahue. Franklin closed out. In deep to Berger. He's in a double team, had it stolen away. Comer heads the other way. That's over and back. He flipped it back to Montefiore in trouble, and Montefiore was in the backcourt. So the Rebels get a turnover there.
Yep.
First Irish turnover of the night. Roncalli trails 7-2. 5:02 remaining first quarter.
But I like how Roncalli hasn't tried to really force anything on offense. They've slowed it down a little bit and gotten the looks that they want. Lob
into Stroud. He backs Montefiore in, and he puts it up and in. Stroud with a bucket, back in the starting lineup for the first time in 6 games. 7-4 the score. Franklin drives right by Berger, goes to the basket. Stroud tied him up on the way up. Ball came loose. James Franklin, corner 3 is no good, and Donahue rebounds. Donahue to Brunk, played by Hensley this time down. Johnny drives in the lane, leads to Berger in the corner. Brandon cut off on a drive out to Denny. 7-4 the score. Brunk reloads. Certainly this pace, Nick, favors the Rebels.
Yep, really slow.
Brunk drives, cut off, leans in, shoots off the board, and it's rebounded by Armand Franklin. Leaking out James Franklin. Denny tied him up on a catch at the rim, or at the foul line, rather. Donahue was back, tied him up at the rim after the whistle. First foul on Jacob, second on the Rebels. 4:10 to go here in the first quarter. Rebels trail on the Chick-fil-A board, 7-4. And Berger fouling Franklin on the catch. Armand Franklin on the inbounds. That's 2 on Brandon. Team third. Let's see how long Michael Wantz goes with Berger with 2 fouls. Comer inbounding baseline right. Takes a look, a long time, out to Hensley. Back to Comer in the right corner. Comer pulls the dribble back out himself. Stroud comes up to hedge the ball screen. Ball reversed to Armand Franklin, a long 3 left side. That's off the back of the rim. And Stroud secures the rebound away from Montefialco. Berger running the floor, catching deep on the baseline in too deep. Finds Denny. Now Donahue, he had a volleyball line 3 that he passed up. Now Brunk resets. Berger flashes foul line, tries to drive on Franklin, and an offensive foul. He lowered the shoulder. So Berger's picked up 3 fouls in the first 4:20 of this ball game. Here comes Asher. And presumably Brandon's done for the first half.
Yep.
Asher, the 6'7 junior. Daniel Asher stepping in. Let's see where the Rebels go defensively, because Berger was guarding Armand Franklin.
It's like a 2-3-ish.
Yep, that's exactly right. Good eye. 2-3 zone for the Rebels, with Brunk and Denny at the top. 7-4 the score. Roncalli trails, 3:25 left in the quarter. Comer. Ball reversed to James Franklin at the right point. Back to Comer. Hensley's the shooter you need to find. He has it. Right of the lane. Franklin flashes foul line. Turn and shoot. He banked it in from the foul line. Armand Franklin. He has 4. And the lead back to 5. Donahue. Pressured tightly by Comer. Over to Brunk. Out front, Denny. Donahue looking inside for Stroud. Asher tried a high-low pass that was deflected. Now Daniel in the lane. He traveled. I believe that's the 3rd turnover.
5th.
5th turnover for the Rebels. Man.
Yeah.
5 turnovers, 4 points.
It's all just unforced stuff that
It is. Comer steps into a 3, travels. Boy, they're calling it tight.
Yeah.
That hop and jump into a shot that most officials let go, these guys are not letting that play tonight.
James Harden would be in serious trouble.
James Harden would be in serious trouble tonight. 9-4 the score. Rebels trail a slow-paced game. 2:30 to go, first quarter from the woodshed. Cathedral on top. Donahue at the volleyball line. Looking to get free from Comer. Can't do it. Hand off to Denny, who's trapped. And Denny is ridden out to the timeline by Comer, who takes the foul, his first, and the team's second. Jason Delaney thought there may have been a 5-second violation involved there. High school basketball, the only level now where that still exists. They got rid of that in the college game a couple years back. Brunk to the right wing. Denny seeking Donahue off a screen. Donahue, no space to shoot. Cross-court pass to Stroud in the corner. Alex back out front to Brunk. Lob into Asher, and the pass wide of the mark and out of bounds. Boy, Asher had the defender on his hip. Here's Grant Togg, 6'2", a junior, and Cam Jordan, 5'11", a sophomore. 6 turnovers for the Rebels here in the first quarter. I guess the only good news there, Nick, is most of them have been dead ball
Dead
turnovers.
ball turnovers. Yeah.
The Cathedral has not been able to take the other way for a run out.
I could be wrong, but I think all 6 have been.
I think all of them have been, yes.
that-
I think you're right. Some travels and out of bounds and an offensive foul.
While that's good, you'd rather see at least a shot instead of a turnover, even if it's a bad shot on all those possessions.
Togg out to Jordan. Jordan and Togg came in. Armand Franklin flashes in the lane, puts it up in traffic off the window and in. That's a tough shot.
Yep.
Franklin has 6 and the lead's back to 7. Actually, it's their biggest lead of the night. 11-4. And Jordan jumped the passing lane, tapped it into the bench. Stays with the Rebels. Donahue inbounding. Top of the key extended near sideline. Togg and Jordan came in, and Comer and James Franklin had a seat. Donahue into Stroud. Alex back to Donahue, where Cathedral is really pressuring Roncalli, and the Rebels just can't get anything moving to the bucket. Brunk out front against Togg. Drives. Bounce across the paint to Asher, who lays it in. That's a great find by Johnny.
Yep.
It's back to an 11-6 game. Franklin down the lane, crashes into Asher and lays it in. That could have been a charge very easily on Franklin.
One of his
Instead,
elbows
it's a
got up to the face of Asher.
Brunk tried to leave it on a back cut to Denny. It's stolen away by Montefalco. Back defensing it is Asher. He puts it up, blocks Franklin at the rim. Here comes Denny. Togg knocks into the floor. Loose ball on the deck. It's tapped to Hensley. Leaking out is Franklin, and he missed the dunk. Asher gave him a shove, and an intentional foul is called. Now things are getting a little bit chippy.
As they do.
Oh, and Armand Franklin's been teed up. I think he just hit Jacob Denny with a little bit of the King's English. This is going to take a minute to settle down, and now both sections are a little heated.
Classic Roncalli Cathedral.
Oh, my.
Classic.
So we've got a veteran officiating crew. P.J. Pitts, Mike Stauffer, and Mike Hopper. Asher's called for an intentional foul. That'll be 2 shots in the ball. And then Armand Franklin is called for a technical foul. That's a personal on him. That's Asher's first, team's 5th.
So who gets the ball if there's an intentional and then a technical?
It'll be Cathedral's ball after the intentional.
Okay.
Franklin will shoot 2 on the foul. Roncalli will then shoot 2 on the technical, and then Cathedral will have possession.
Okay.
That's how we'll sequence through it. Interesting thing is, you mentioned before the game, both officials are bending the ear, or both coaches are bending the ear of an official. Michael Wantz is really laying into P.J. Pitts. Meanwhile, Jason Delaney just 10 feet behind, giving it to Mark Hopper. Franklin's first free throw is good. We talked before the game, Haven Montefalco is a St. Jude kid. He's out there trying to calm things down.
Yeah, well.
He knows a lot of these guys very well.
I was friends with him back in grade school. He's a good kid. He knows what he's doing.
Montefalco going to play football at Harvard next year. All-state tight end. So Franklin hit both free throws for the Irish. Now Donahue shoots the technical free ones for the Rebels. First one up and in. Anthony, an 88%er, best on the team. Second one up, that one's cleanly through. So 15-8 is our score, and now it's Cathedral ball. Or no, it's Rebel ball, excuse me. Rebel ball. I beg your pardon. I missed that part of the rule interpretation.
Yeah,
so it's Rebel ball after the
I really
team.
had no idea because I know.
think the technical supersedes the intentional.
I don't know if it's that or if it's the fact that the technical came time-wise after the intentional.
That might be it, too. 25 seconds to go in a wild first quarter from the woodshed. Denny in the corner to Brunk. Johnny played by Montefalco on the switch. Down the baseline. Bounces out to Denny. Denny tees up a 3. That's no good. Rebound fought for. Still fought for. Armand Franklin has it and try to make that Togg. 10 seconds to go. He's in the forecourt. Jordan back to Togg. Tees up a 3. That's short. Denny has the rebound. Spins through traffic. Montefalco stripped him. Donahue up the floor. Buzzer sounds, and that'll do it. So a very chippy atmosphere at the Woodshed. Cathedral leads Roncalli 15-8 after 1 quarter of play on our Chick-fil-A board. Let's step out for 30 seconds and come back with what should be an interesting period number 2 after this on CBS Sports. Passionate crowd here at the Woodshed tonight. An emotional first quarter, technical foul, an intentional foul. 15-8 the score. Cathedral leads Roncalli. This is just the second time in 9 games the Rebels have trailed after 1 quarter. Armand Franklin, the Mr. Basketball candidate, has 10 points for the Irish. Rebels with 4 different players having 2 points apiece. Set the lineups for you heading to period number 2. Aiden Looney is in for the first time tonight. 6'3", the junior. Out there with Brunk, Denny, Donahue, and Asher. Cathedral counters with James Franklin, who's back in. Armand Franklin stays in. Comer returns. Hensley is there, and Ross Welsh. 6'5", senior, first time we've seen him tonight. Rebels have the ball to start the second quarter. Denny drives on Hensley. Lost the handle, got it back in the corner. Now he spins baseline. Try to shovel it down the baseline to Asher. It's kicked off the inline by Welsh. And stays at the Rebel end, 13 seconds into the second quarter. Brunk, baseline right. Lob to Asher in deep. Asher lost the handle on the way up. He missed the flip shot from 8. Here comes Comer up the floor to James Franklin. Hensley in the corner. Nice closeout by Donahue to stop the 3. Hensley hit a deep 3 to start the ball game. Has a team-high 33 triples. Comer between the circles, played by Denny. Horn set. Franklin doubled down the lane. He's fouled, splitting the double. It's already the 6th foul on the Rebels. That's on Looney. Aiden's first, team 6. Back into Franklin. Posting on Looney. Fall away shot up and no good. Rebound, block out, and a loose ball foul on Welsh. Battling Asher for that one. Welsh the foul, his first and the team's 4th.
You know what I think is going to be beneficial to Roncalli here is I think what that technical did was it made Roncalli say, look, take a step back and say these guys are human. They're not some superficial thing that you see in a comic book. They can be beat just like anyone.
Brunk picked up his dribble, lob into Asher, catching traffic. He waits, he shoots, he scores off the window. Asher with 4. Rebels trail 15-10. Back the other way, James Franklin, Euro stepping his way into a travel. 15-10 the score. Cathedral has led by as much as 9 in this game. Rebels have yet to lead. 15-10.
I like the height advantage inside that Asher has.
When we talk, this pace favors Roncalli. At the elbow, Asher turning face over to Brunk. Back to Asher. He scoops it up against Welsh, draws the foul. Missed the shot, but the quick shot drew the foul and earns Daniel a trip to the line for 2. Welsh, his second foul in about 90 seconds. So he is slated to check right back out as Montefalco's at the scorer's table. Asher shoots 2. Daniel is 63%er on the year. First one up and in. Asher has a team best 5 points. Montefalco's back in. We mentioned he's an all-state tight end and will play at Harvard next year, college football.
In both of Roncalli's games they've won, they've gotten huge points from their big men inside. They've had a height advantage and taken advantage of it.
Asher scored 4 to start the period, and it's 15-12. Roncalli back within 3. Armand Franklin out between the circles. Gives it up to James Franklin, far sideline. Hensley. Left arc against Donahue. Crossed him into the corner. Flips it back out to James Franklin. He steps back into a 3 over Brunk. That's no good. And Donahue collects the rebound. That was a tough shot by James Franklin. Donahue open for a 3 to tie the game. Off the rim. Rebounded by Comer. He's on the run. The Rebels are back defensively. Comer down the lane, had it stripped free. Now Bronk on the run the other way. He'll go to the bucket. He'll put it up and miss it with Montefalco in pursuit. James Franklin down the lane, and he's out of control. He throws it right into the Rebel bench. Jason Delaney wants time. 30-second timeout will stay here. 30-second timeout will stay here. 5:48 to go first half. Rebels trail on the Chick-fil-A board 15-12.
Roncalli High School serves almost 1,200 students in a nurturing atmosphere that promotes academic, social, and spiritual growth in the Catholic tradition. Roncalli has been recognized 3 times as a Blue Ribbon School of Excellence. Roncalli High School, preparation for life.
Well, with Nick Michael, Rob Brown with you tonight. Pleased you're with us. However you may be taking in tonight's game, whether it's on RebelMediaNetwork.com, on CBS Sports 1430, or with the video stream on YouTube. 15-12. Rebels have scored 4 straight to start the quarter, all coming from Asher. And they have the ball after the Cathedral timeout. Brunk walks it up. Irish in a man-to-man as they've been throughout this first half. Denny out between the circles to Donahue. Looney, his first touch at the offensive end. And the skip over to Denny. He wasn't looking. He was coming to set a screen for Brunk, and the pass sails out of bounds. That's another unforced error.
Still dead ball.
Still a dead ball turnover, but a turnover nonetheless. 15-12 the score. Take an ID here when we get a moment as we're past the top of the hour. As soon as we get an opportunity. James Franklin to Hensley, another 3 out front. That one's off the mark. Same spot he hit one to begin the game. Brunk brings it the other way. He drives in the corner. Donahue 3 for the tie. That's short. Rebound. Denny and Hensley fight for it. Off the end line. Last touch by Jacob. Let's go ahead here before this inbound and pause quickly for this 10-second station identification. Reminding you, you're listening to Roncalli Basketball on CBS Sports 1430.
Indy's home for hoops is CBS Sports 1430, WXNT AM Indianapolis, WZPL HD3 Greenfield, Indianapolis.
Well, while we were away, TJ Comer, Tayshawn Comer, went right to the rim and drew a foul on Jacob Denny. Jacob's second, team 7th. And the freshman Comer shoots 2. The 78% on the year, and the first one is way short. I mentioned TJ Comer. That was Tayshawn's older brother who played basketball and football at Perry Meridian. Was a point guard and a defensive back, played collegiately as a defensive back in football at Marion University here in town. Comer splits the pair. It's 16-12. First point of the Irish for the quarter. Inside 5 minutes to go in the half. Brunk dribbles to the corner, double. Out to Asher. Asher fakes down the lane. He put it on the floor, had it poked free. Now the ball squirts loose. And Denny had it, lost it off the sideline. Out of bounds. Back to Cathedral. Where you can't put it down in traffic. Just too many hands in the vicinity. 4:46 to go first half. Rebels trail Cathedral 16-12. James Franklin. Left of the lane. Gets it back from Hensley. Now Armand Franklin tees up a foul line jumper right in the seam of the zone. He has 12, does Franklin. The lead's back to 6.
In a 2-3 zone like Roncalli is playing, the hole when you have 3-point shooters is going to be right in the middle of where the free throw line is. So they have taken advantage of that frequently tonight.
Michael Wantz would like a 30-second timeout. We'll stay here. 4:19 to go first half. Cathedral leads Roncalli 18-12.
At Ortho Indy South.
Every day we go farther, try harder, and do things others think are impossible. But for people who are passionate about what they do, it's normal. At Ortho Indy, we make sure of it. As the largest sports medicine group in Indiana and the official orthopedic provider for the Pacers, our specialists work to treat your injury from diagnosis to recovery and get you back in the game, because you were built to perform. Ortho Indy Sports Medicine, helping you get normal back, whatever your normal looks like.
On hand, David Kahn, our studio engineer, handling things for us on the radio side, back at our CBS Sports 1430 flagship on the north side of Indianapolis. Happy to have you with us tonight. Great crowd for the first weekend in February, or January. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Brunk in the backcourt. Now he's in the forecourt. Cathedral looks to spring a trap as soon as Brunk picks up the dribble. He fires in low to Asher, who's by himself. They lost track of the biggest guy on the floor. And Asher lays it in right in front of the rim. Cathedral very aggressive, trapping out front. Hensley a long three. That's in and out. Montefalco a tough rebound in traffic. Puts it up and in. That's just some football strength from Montefalco right there. 20-14. Denny spins on Hensley down the baseline. He's cut off. Now Denny attacks into the paint. No space. Donahue drives to the corner, picked up by Montefalco on the switch. Back out to Brunk. 3:35 left. First half. Rebels trail by 6. Donahue drifts out to the right point. Still has the dribble working against Montefalco. Brunk calls for a high screen from Asher. Instead, he goes away. Fakes back to Looney. Looney to Asher out front. Asher checked tightly. Now Denny knifing through the paint. The C's part. He draws a foul at the rim on Comer. And will shoot it twice with 3:10 to go in the half.
Roncalli's gotten a lot of look inside tonight. Worked it well inside. I think that even though Cathedral on paper has a height advantage, Roncalli's just been more aggressive.
That's the second foul on Comer, team 5th. Denny hit in the axe, shoots 2. First free throw, Karam's no good. Rebels are 4 out of 5 from the line tonight. Irish 5 out of 6. Comer with his second foul checks out. Tog is back in. 3:10 left in the half. Denny converts the second free throw. 20-15. Armand Franklin, who has a game-high 12, to James Franklin. In the corner, Hensley shooting in and out. Second three he's had going in and out. Second three rebounded by Montefalco. Nice find to Armand Franklin, who lays it in over the rim. Well, you got to find Montefalco on the offensive glass. He's not a guy that will shoot or have their run plays for, but he'll score if you give him a chance on the offensive boards. 22-15. Denny top of the circle. Tucks his head down, drives, and he drew a blocking foul, flipped it in after the whistle. Shot will not count. Let's see, though. Is this a shooting foul or on the floor? If it's on the floor, it's 1-1. Yep, it's a 1-1. They called that foul on the floor. That's team 7th, first on Montefalco. But Denny was not given a shooting foul, so he has to make the first to earn the second.
Well,
Hensley checks out, replaced by Jordan.
He made the shot, which would have been huge.
Yeah, but he made it after the whistle, they deemed. Denny, first one up, first one in. That will give him the second one, and that one gives him 4 points on the evening. Stroud waits to come in for Denny if he can convert the second free throw. 22-16, Rebels have trailed by as much as 9, find themselves down 6, make it 5, as Denny hits the second free throw. 5 points for Jacob. Stroud's back in. Only Rebel foul trouble is Berger, who's on the bench with 3 that he picked up in the first 3.5 minutes of the game. No one with more than 2 for Cathedral. Rebels go back to a man-to-man here.
They've got the trees in, 2 6'5+ guys.
Yep, Asher and Stroud both on the floor. Stroud plays Tog, who jumps up a 3 over Stroud. That's good. Tog 6'4", his 6th three-pointer of the year. Brunk lost the handle, out of bounds. He lost it, came back in. He was the first to touch it. That is not within the rules. 25-17, Tog's 3, second 3 of the game for Cathedral. Rebels have yet to hit one. Franklin crosses up Brunk in the corner to Tog again. This time he drives back to James Franklin down the baseline. He's cut off, throws it right to Looney. Looney waits for help. Brunk trailing, steps into a long 3. That's no good. Rebound grabbed by Montefalco. Tog on the run. In the corner to Franklin, right back to Tog. Armand Franklin. Gives it to Jordan. Inside 100 seconds to go first half. Rebels down 8. Jordan dribbles right into a turnover. Looney on the run to the bucket. Put it up, and James Franklin slapped it off the backboard. Togg is back the other way. He leaves for Montefiore trailing, and Asher levels him. Well, you know Cathedral is trying to contest everything on those breakaways. You've got to go up with the intention of dunking that.
Yeah.
That's the second foul on Asher, team 8.
Either that or if he gives him a pump fake, I mean, he's probably going to be out somewhere on the circle.
You have to go up with the intention that you're going to put somebody on a poster and make them foul you. Montefalco's a 50%er. First one knuckleballs off the rim. 25-17. Hensley's back in for James Franklin. Nope, make it Jordan. Rebels trail by 8. Have been outscored in the period 10-9. One more for Montefalco. Deep knee bend, tees up the second one. That one's good. All three of Montefalco's points have come in the quarter, and the Irish have matched their biggest lead of the night. Rebels had pulled to within 4 just 2.5 minutes ago. Stroud and Looney is pulled to the ground by Togg, setting the screen for Stroud. Rebels are in the bonus. So Aiden shoots a 1-and-1 with 1:19 to go in the half.
If you're going to get back into the game, free throws are a good way to do it.
Togg's first, team 8th. Looney shoots a 1-and-1. First one up, first one in. First point for Aiden. Playing off the bench tonight. 26-18, just want to hang around. Don't give up any big spurt here in the final 1:19. Second free throw good. 26-19. Score, stop, and a score, what the Rebels are looking for. They'll certainly allow Cathedral to slow things down and shorten the number of possessions between now and the end of the half. James Franklin top side. Gives to Montefalco, slipping, and Montefalco, boy, he hung on the rim and tried to tap in his own miss. Is that going to be a technical foul? I believe so. Yep. He missed the dunk, and while he was up there, he hung up there and tried to tap his own miss.
And, of course, you're allowed to stay on the rim as long as it's for your own safety, not
Correct.
landing on anyone. But he hung up there, still was hanging onto the rim, and tried to grab his miss and put it back in.
That's the second Cathedral technical of the game. The first one was due to taunting by Armand Franklin. Donahue shoots 2, first one up and in. That also goes as a personal for Montefalco, his second, team 9, and the Rebels will have the ball. Donahue's second one up and in. Oddly, Donahue, all 4 of his points have come off of technical free throws.
It's going to be
here in the first half.
Interesting stat.
26-21. Now, if the Rebels can get a bucket here, they can make it a one-possession game with a minute to go. That's a huge swing, as Montefalco's dunk would have made it back to a 9-point game had he converted. Asher over to Donahue, played by Armand Franklin. Anthony can't get free from Franklin. Back to Brunk. Johnny holds at the high left. Lost his footing against James Franklin. Shovels to Looney. Looney crosses up. Skip over to Donahue. He fakes the 3 on Armand Franklin. Cut off on a drive. Rebels in no hurry. Looney, lob into Asher, and Montefalco is fronting, steals it away. Cathedral presumably plays for 1, down up 5 with 18 seconds to go. Both teams out of fouls. Armand Franklin out near the jump circle with 10. Played by Donahue, has a pick up front from Montefalco if he wants it. Now Armand dribbling down the lane, big steps to the goal, put it up and in. That's a big time move right there. Yep. 16 for Armand Franklin in the first half. And the teams play to a 13-13 draw in the second quarter. And the Irish lead it on the Chick-fil-A board, 28-21 after one half of play from the woodshed. Stay tuned, we'll step out for 60 seconds. When we come right back, we'll tell you all about it on tonight's Beck Service Center halftime show after this on the Rebel.
Every day, we go farther, try harder, and do things others think are impossible. But for people who are passionate about what they do, it's normal. At Ortho Indy, we make sure of it. As the largest sports medicine group in Indiana and the official orthopedic provider for the Pacers, our specialists work to treat your injury from diagnosis to recovery and get you back in the game, because you were built to perform. Ortho Indy Sports Medicine, helping you get normal back, whatever your normal looks like.
Back to within 4 at 16-12, and again at 18-14 before Cathedral resumed the 9-point lead at 26-17. But the Rebels were able to cut it back to 5 before Armand Franklin's layup just before the buzzer. Made it a 7-point game, each team with 13 points in that second quarter. Rebels aided by 4 free throws. 4 free throws off of Cathedral technicals in that first half. And boy, without those, Nick, it's a double-figure lead for the Irish.
Yeah, and I guess the second technical wasn't as much, but the first technical was really that energy, the passion that we talked about before the game, that Roncalli has to show. The emotions of this game are really high. They were high coming into it, and after the play, it didn't really look like a dirty play from Asher, who with a little push, but apparently Franklin took exception to that and got in the face of a couple Rebels there. So I think Roncalli really took that and got back down to earth with it after that point.
Well, the Rebels led by Daniel Asher, who has 8 points in the first half. Armand Franklin, the Mr. Basketball candidate, has 16 to pace Cathedral. We'll step out for 2 minutes. When we come back, we'll run down tonight's first half totals. Nick has all your numbers, and we'll have it when we return. After this 2-minute break on CBS Sports 1430.
Hi folks, it's Ben Stallings from Beck Service Center. As longtime supporters of Roncalli High School, we are proud to back the Rebel athletic teams, fine arts department, and academic teams. As excellence abounds on the grounds of Roncalli, that is how we approach the automotive repair business. We are pretty darn good at fixing cars. Located at the southeast corner of Madison and Edgewood, we appreciate your support and are grateful for your business. Go Rebels.
McDonald's proudly introduces the new fresh beef quarter pounder burgers. Each one of our quarter pounder with cheese, double quarter pounder with cheese, and signature crafted recipe burgers is made with 100% fresh beef from North America and cooked right when you order it. It's hotter, juicier, and full of flavor. So good, they'll have you speechless. Visit us today across from the Greenwood Park Mall or at 7911 US 31 South, just north of Stop 11.
The mission of the Roncalli High School Alumni Association is to be a contributing branch of Roncalli High School in providing sources of assistance for maintaining the academic standards of the school. Our goal is to strengthen our alumni base by renewing and fostering the bonds of friendship and to promote continued involvement of graduates from Sacred Heart, Kennedy, Chartrand, and Roncalli. If you'd like to be part of the Roncalli Alumni Association, please email Gary Armbruster at garmbruster@roncalli.org.
At Glendale Rochford Orthodontics, we're in the business of making smiles, but straightening teeth is only part of that job. Our team has a passion for serving our patients and their families in Greenwood and Indianapolis. You may start your journey at Glendale Rochford Orthodontics looking for a straighter smile, but you'll leave with new friends and family. Call today at 317-888-2827 to schedule a free consultation for you, your child, and your whole family. 317-888-2827.
This is the Beck Service Center Halftime Show on CBS Sports 1430.
Welcome back to Roncalli Rebels basketball on CBS Sports 1430. Your Roncalli Rebels trail the Cathedral Irish 28-21 at halftime. I'm here with your first half totals. We'll start with Roncalli. Aiden Looney has 2 points, both from free throws. He was 2 of 2 in that first half. Jacob Denny had 5 points, going 3 of 4 from the free throw line. Anthony Donahue had 4 points, all 4 on technical free throws. He was a perfect 4 of 4 from the foul line. Daniel Asher had 8 points to lead Roncalli scorers and was 2 of 2 from the foul line. And Alex Stroud closed out scoring in the first half for Roncalli with 2 points. In that first half, Roncalli had 11 turnovers, was 0 of 4 from the three-point arc, and was 11 of 12 from the foul line. For the Cathedral Irish, Armand Franklin had 16 points. 4 of those were from a 4-4 free throw line performance in that first half. Teague had 3 points. Hensley had 3 points. Comer had 3 points, going 1 of 2 from the foul line. And Haven Montefalco closed out scoring for Cathedral with 3 points, 1 of 2 from the foul line in that first half. Cathedral in the first half had 6 turnovers, was 2 of 8 from the three-point arc, and was 6 of 8 from the free throw line. Rob and I will be back to call the second half after this on CBS Sports 1430.
Throughout Chick-fil-A's history, the company has been on a journey to serve not only delicious food with a warm smile, but also offer a menu customer.
Changing the way you think and feel about printing.
Well, let's get you a couple scores while we wait the start of the second half, which is moments away. Buff leads Zionsville 20-16 at the half. Early third quarter at Lawrence North, Warren Central up 24-22. Carmel on the road at Center Grove leading 20-18 at the half. And we have a 28-21 game here at the Woodshed with Cathedral leading Roncalli.
Roncalli had 11 turnovers in that first half, so I think if they cut back, that is a high number. If they cut back on that number, if they play a little bit smarter, I think that they're right in this game. I mean,
Well, 10 turnovers is their season low for a game. That was at Whiteland in a 4-point loss back on December the 8th. Their season high is 22. That was at Covenant Christian. But that was the difference with that game between the Covenant Christian and that game. Covenant Christian was a fastly paced, that was a high possession game. Yeah. And when you have 11 turnovers in a first half like we just watched, Nick, where there's not a lot of possession, that number really jumps off the page.
Yeah, I mean, the more possessions that you can take advantage of, even if you're just getting shots from either Donahue or maybe Brunk, 3-point shots. Donahue had a couple contested looks there in that first half that just barely missed. But I think Roncalli can take advantage of what they've been getting.
Well, the Rebels will be on defense to start this second half. Cathedral with the basketball. Original starting 5 on the floor for both clubs. For the Irish, that's Armand and James Franklin. Tayshawn Comer, Justin Hensley, and Haven Monefalco. Cathedral moving right to left toward the south goal in this second half. Comer played by Denny, gets a high screen from Monefalco, comes to the top of the circle. Franklin Armand tees up the 3 that's in and out. Rebound fought for, and Monefalco fights with it for Stroud. It goes off the end line, last touch by Monefalco. That's 3 threes. 3 threes the Irish have taken that were in the cylinder and popped out. That was Armand Franklin who missed that one. Hensley had 2 spin out on him in the first half. Brunk, Berger, Stroud, Donahue, and Denny, the Rebel 5. Brunk pick up his dribble, tried to give to Stroud, slipping to the goal. It's tipped away and stolen. James Franklin leaking out. Fakes the pass, extends, and lays it in up over Donahue. That's the live ball turnover that leads to a bucket. First one of those we've seen tonight.
Definitely not the start that Roncalli wanted in the second half.
30-21, the Irish have matched their biggest lead of the game. Donahue gives to Berger out front. Lob into Stroud, the catch in low. He fakes, he shoots, he misses. And the rebound pulled out of there by James Franklin. He's down the lane. He gives to Armand Franklin for a tee-up three in the right corner that's way short. James Franklin rebounds. He power dribbles. He's tied up on the way up by Brunk, and the Rebels will have the arrow.
I think that's Armand's second three that he's missed pretty poorly tonight.
Well, he's a 40% three-point shooter, however, has 25. I'm not sure he took one in the first half, however. Brunk picked up his dribble, gets to Stroud at the foul line. Stroud needs help, lost it, stolen away by Montefalco. Boy, the Rebels just way too careless with the basketball to start this third quarter. Berger came in with a nice play, tapped it loose off the backside of Armand Franklin. Brunk weaves through traffic, pull up three off the back of the rim. Rebound tapped away and grabbed by James Franklin. And his cross-court pass is broken up by Denny, but stolen back by Hensley. He steps back into a three that's good. Hensley's second three of the game, third for the Irish. And Cathedral has its first double-figure lead of the evening. Michael wants a full timeout. Full timeout called. We'll take one as well. 33-21 the score on the Chick-fil-A board. Roncalli down 12 to Cathedral. We'll step out for 30 seconds and come right back. It's Rebel Basketball on CBS Sports 1430.
Steve Flowers and
If I could rearrange the alphabet, I'd put you and I together.
Milto Cleaners, we're pickup artists when it comes to your clothes.
Learn what it means to be a Marion University Knight. You'll begin defining your life's purpose, personal strengths, and a vision for your future. Visit marion.edu and find out what are you made of. Go Knights.
33-21 the score. Cathedral with 5 straight to start the third quarter. Asher's back in for the Rebels, replacing Stroud. Rebels need some momentum. They have just 5 field goals in the game. Now Cathedral shows a half-court press out of the timeout. Brunk over to Denny. In the corner, Berger. Brandon airmails a pass over the head of Brunk into the Cathedral bench. And the turnovers continue to mount.
Roncalli just looks lost on the offensive end.
33-21. Armand Franklin handles the point guard chores on this possession for the Irish. ISO Brandon Berger out front, down the lane, runs into Asher, throws up an air ball. Good defense by the Rebels. Franklin shot a glare to Mark Hopper, one of the officials. Denny over to Brunk. Johnny back to Denny. Jacob. Armand Franklin closed out to stop Denny from shooting a three. Brunk bounced to Donahue in the corner for three. Bang! He got it. First Rebel triple of the night. That's badly needed. Anthony's team-high 20th three of the season. And it's 33-24. Comer spinning the paint. Short arm to shot. Rebound tap to Donahue. In pursuit, Franklin stole it away, and then Brunk poked it free to stop a run out. That's still another turnover here. 4 in the quarter and 15 in the ball game. 33-24. Despite that, Roncalli hanging around. You get the impression they could just get a little momentum. They could make this interesting in the fourth. Comer pull up just shy of the foul line, no good. And Berger all over the rebound. 4.5 to go, third quarter. Rebels trail by 9.
They've looked really good on defense, but if they just need that spark on offense.
That's a great point. Cathedral sitting on 33 points halfway through the third. They came in averaging almost 72. Brunk out top, Denny. Driving in the corner, Berger. Shot put the jumper on the baseline long. Asher fights for the rebound but can't corral it. It goes into the bleachers, or into the stage rather, on the end zone. Out of bounds. Yeah, defensively, Micah Wantz, I think, has to be fairly pleased. Cathedral has had a couple second chance buckets from Montefalco. Hensley has gotten free a couple times for 3. He catch and shoot for a long one there that's way short. Brunk brings it the other way. In the corner, Donahue. Fakes on Comer. Donahue got away with a carry out front. Brings the dribble to the arc. Bounce into Berger. Berger backing. In deep. Fakes Franklin off his feet. Put it up, put it in, and drew the foul. Ho-ho!
Spark.
Well, that's Brandon Berger with an and one. And that's a potential Mr. Basketball that just got faked off his feet by a Ball State linebacker. Berger with the bucket. There's a Cathedral gentleman at half court who is furious in the stands. Berger's free throw is good. That might be the spark they need, Nick.
Yep.
6 straight Rebel points. Donahue's 3, and an old-fashioned 3 from Berger. Cathedral has not scored in 2.5 minutes. You get a stop and a score here, things could get very interesting. Franklin lost the dribble but got it back in the corner. He's down the baseline. He's hand-checked by Berger. That's 4 on Brandon. Brandon, his first start tonight. He'll head to the bench, replaced by Aiden Looney. Brandon gets a nice hand from the Rebel faithful. Armand Franklin tucking in his jersey per the direction of P.J. Pitts, one of our 3 officials. Veteran crew tonight. Comer in the corner against Denny. Splits a double team. Nice drive to the goal, finger roll up and in. That's a big-time move by Tayshawn Comer.
Very nice move.
Wow. 35-27. That snaps a 2.5-minute scoreless drought for the Irish. The lead is 8. Brunk in the corner, Denny. Finds Looney flashing to the foul line. Aiden over to Brunk. Johnny tees up a 3. That's off the front of the rim. But Denny rebounds in traffic. Splits the defense. Reverse layup is no good, but he's fouled in traffic. And shoots it twice with 2:54 to go in the third.
I will always
foul on James
contend
Franklin.
that is the best part of Jacob Denny's game is get it inside, hope to either get the and 1 or 2 free throws.
He is so good at getting to the rim and drawing contact. Free throws up and in.
He has a ridiculous 40, so he just uses that speed, blows right by an initial defender, and if a big guy comes to help, then he just gets right into him and draws the foul.
4 of his 6 points have come from the line. Second free throw rolls good. 7 for Denny. Rebels back within 6. Hanging around with 2:52 to go in the third. In the corner, Comer's open for a long 2 that's too strong. Denny takes the rebound away from Comer. Lost the handle off the end line. And it stays with Cathedral. Comer was there as well. But Mike Stauffer, one of our 3 officials, was right there on the scene. Togg and Welsh come in for Cathedral. Armand Franklin has a seat, as does Henley, and Comer just dribbles it right out of bounds against the pressure of Looney. Sometimes the ball does not lie. Rare Irish turnover. How many you have them for, Nick?
This half, I just have them for 1.
For the game?
Oh, for the game, 7.
7, okay. Brunk on the left side, played by Welsh. Looney, high-low, into Asher. In deep, backing, lost the handle, put it on the floor. Too much, rolls off the inline though, but it rolled off the leg of James Franklin, so the Rebels keep it. That high-low lob is there, Nick, but you have to go right away. If you stand and collect and dribble, it's going the other way.
I mean, Asher has to catch it too. He's had a couple times where he's struggled to catch.
Off the lob, Asher the catch, but he missed it from 8 feet. It's a great inbounds play, but he catches it and shoots it while he's in the air. Franklin, a reverse layup up and in, and a foul. Oh, my. That's a Mr. Basketball move right there.
Yep.
Give the foul to Asher. That's a huge 4-point swing. as Asher had an uncontested 8-footer. Granted, he was in midair to hit off the heel of the rim that would have made it a 4-point game. Franklin came the other way and converted the reverse layup up and in. Third foul on Asher, free throw good for Franklin. His first points in the second half, he's got 19. He's back to a 9-point lead, and Brunk throws a pass into the fifth row over the head of Donahue.
Just simple stuff that Roncalli has not done well tonight. And
boy, Johnny has had his struggles tonight. To keep his head up, though, the game's long from over.
Yeah.
2:12 to go in the third. Franklin, long two right side, around and out. Brunk with the rebound. And Togg poked it free into the bleachers. Right into the lap of our friend Andrew Fay. Class of 16, who has the single season three-point makes record. Andrew might have gotten his cobwebs knocked free a little bit. Brunk top side, 2 minutes to go, third quarter. Gives to Donahue, pull up, 15-footer, got it.
Good.
Well, Comer
shot.
gambled for the steal, and when he whiffed, Donahue dribbled into an open 15-footer. 38-31. Togg, Welsh tries a three out front, that's good. 6-3 of the season. Welsh was a 25%er on the year. It's 41-31. 10-point Irish lead. The lead was 7 when the half began. Brunk to the elbow, picked up his dribble, slips to Looney. Aiden in the lane, back out to Brunk. Fires to Asher's by himself, and he hammers it down with 2 hands. Asher with a dunk. It's an 8-point game.
Get the crowd into it.
Asher's in the double figures. Franklin got to the bucket. He put it in and drew the foul. Asher thought he drew the charge under the rim.
I thought he drew the charge under the rim.
But a block call. That's the 4th on Daniel. And the 3rd on the Rebels here in the half. And now Berger steps back in for Looney. That's only the 3rd on Asher. I thought that was his 4th. Well, they say it's his 3rd. But Berger returns with 4 fouls. And Franklin missed the free throw. 43-33. And a foul in the corner on Cathedral. Stroud's right back in. That was indeed Asher's 4th. Scoreboard was incorrect. Foul went to Comer, his 3rd. Looney comes back in, make that Stroud's in. So let's set the lineups as some subs came in for both squads. Brunk, Donahue, Berger playing with 4. Denny and Stroud for the Rebels. James and Armand Franklin, Welsh, Hensley, and Togg for the Irish. In the corner, Berger. Rebels trail by 10. Donahue fakes the corner 3 on Hensley. Down the baseline, cut off, gives to Berger. He shows the jumper in the lane. Franklin poked it free off the inline, stays with the Rebels. 53 and 2/10 to go here in the quarter.
I think Roncalli needs a basket here to just kind of get the feel back into the game.
Roncalli had pulled to within 6. In the corner, Donahue for 3. That's off the heel of the rim. Rebound tapped out to Togg. They've got numbers 4 on 2. James Franklin up the wing, lays it up, lays it in. All 4 of his points have come in the quarter. Back to a 12-point lead. Biggest Irish lead of the night, matches it. Inside 40 seconds to go in the third quarter. Brunk to Donahue on the right wing, hawked by Armand Franklin. Takes it out front, picked up by Hensley on a switch. And he threw it right to Welsh. Leaking out Franklin, here comes a windmill. And Franklin punches it down with 2 hands. Oh my. 23 for Franklin. It's a 14-point game. 15 seconds to go in the quarter. Brunk down the lane. And he threw it right to Armand Franklin. Hensley leaking out. He's got time. He wheels. Reverse layup up and in. And this thing has gotten away from the Rebels. That's the end of the third quarter. Irish closed the quarter on an 11-0 run, and what was once an 18-point lead, an 8-point lead, is now a 16-point lead. 8 minutes to go from the woodshed. We'll step out for 30 and come back. It's Roncalli basketball on CBS Sports 1430.
Injured? OrthoND Urgent Care clinics are available to treat your bone, joint, and muscle injuries.
Every day, we go farther, try harder, and do things others think are impossible. But for people who are passionate about what they do, it's normal. At OrthoIndy, we make sure of it. As the largest sports medicine group in Indiana and the official orthopedic provider for the Pacers, our specialists work to treat your injury from diagnosis to recovery and get you back in the game, because you were built to perform. OrthoIndy Sports Medicine, helping you get normal back, whatever your normal looks like.
Rebels outscored in that pivotal third quarter, 21-12. Roncalli trailed by 5, 38-33. And then Cathedral ran off 11 in a row over the final minute 20. And as a result, takes its biggest lead of the game, 16 points. Into the final 8 minutes, and the Irish will have the ball.
Just a couple details that Cathedral's done, especially on the defensive end, that they've dedicated a person to Anthony Donahue out on the three-point arc, making sure he doesn't get any open looks. They forced Brunk to go right, which is away from his dominant hand. Just all the small things are adding up right now for Cathedral.
In the corner, Armand Franklin showed three, out to Hensley for three. That's good. 52-33. It's Hensley's third three of the game, the fifth for the Irish. Donahue drives to the corner. Here comes the trap. And he threw it off the foot of James Franklin and out of bounds. Stays with the Rebels. Brunk inbounding in the deep left corner. Denny's open for three. In and out. Rebound tapped and cleared out of there by Welsh. He leaves for James Franklin. Hand off to Armand Franklin, who has 23. Franklin down the lane. Brunk poked it free. Johnny lost the dribble, gives it up to Donahue. Denny into the paint, tucks it in, flips it back out to Donahue. He fakes. He's down the lane, shovels to Berger at the rim, and Brandon faked Welsh off his feet, and Welsh ended up on Berger's back and has his third foul. Just the third on the Irish here in the half. Rebels have just 9 field goals in the game. Brunk takes a look, lobs to Denny. He's in deep, fading and shooting, and threw up an air ball from 10 feet. Rebounded by Franklin. 52-33. Hensley steps into a left side three. That one's long on the back of the rim. Franklin scoops up the rebound. He puts it up short, but he's fouled at the rim. Shoots two with 6:41 to go.
And Roncalli has played a solid game on the defensive end. They've had some struggles on the offensive end. I think at some point there has to be mentioned that there's likely a talent disparity between the two ball clubs of Cathedral and Roncalli right now.
Franklin shoots two. First one's up and in. It's a 20-point Irish lead. This is a 15-0 Cathedral run after the Rebels had trimmed the deficit to 5. One more for Armand Franklin. He has 24. Sets, fires, and that one rolls good. And now he checks out, replaced by Cam Jordan. Brunk picked up his dribble, gives to Berger at the elbow. Brandon hands to Denny. Denny drives on Hensley to the bucket, tucked it in, flipped it up and in with the right hand, and drew the foul.
Might be the cleanest offensive possession Roncalli's had tonight. They just looked really good there.
Hensley's foul, his first, the team's fourth. Denny the bucket. He has 9. And the free throw off the heel of the rim collected by Hensley. That snapped a 15-0 Irish run. James Franklin down the lane. He put it up, no. Rebound fought for it. Ricochets off the end line. Last touch by Berger. 54-35. 6:11 to go. The 17-0 Irish run that was snapped by that Denny bucket. Hensley's three is long. Welsh pushed off for a rebound out to Togg. Togg resets in the corner to James Franklin. 2 minutes gone, final period. 54-35. James Franklin tried to give to Hensley on a slip off the pick and roll, and the Rebels kicked the pass. So James Franklin reloads on the near sideline in front of the Cathedral bench. Now P.J. Pitts wants a towel to wipe the basketball off. Asher will take the opportunity to step back in for Stroud. Armand Franklin returns for Cathedral. So the Rebel 5 on the floor with 5:51 to go. Brunk, Donahue, Asher, Berger, and Denny. Armand and James Franklin. Welsh, Hensley. Armand Franklin steps into a 15-footer and hits it. And Togg, the fifth Irish player on the floor. 56-35. Hard to believe this is a 5-point game inside 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Now it's a 21-point game. Denny drives, tucks it in. Circus layup off the window and in. Jacob with 4 in the quarter, a team high 11 in the game.
He's looked really good tonight.
5:15 to go. James Franklin on the far sideline, crosses up Brunk, and steps by Asher. Asher was just standing there and takes the foul. That's his fifth. So Asher is done for the night. He fouls out with 10 points, his fourth double-figure scoring game of the season. Jason Delaney wants a full timeout. Our sponsors will appreciate that. We'll go ahead and take one as well. 56-37 the score on the Chick-fil-A board. Cathedral all over the Rebels. We'll be back after this on CBS Sports 1430.
Hi, folks. It's
5:05 to go here at the leads Roncalli 56-37. Since the 1:40 mark in the third quarter with 1:40 to go. So over the last 4:40 and change, Cathedral has outscored Roncalli 19-4. Armand Franklin in the corner to Comer, who's back into the ball game. Came in during that timeout. Comer takes the dribble back out to the right point, checked by Denny. Rebels trying to speed the game up a little bit. James Franklin had it knocked free. Johnny Brunk stuck a hand in, called for the foul. Johnny's first and the team's fifth. Team six, beg your pardon, thank you. Team six. In the corner, Hensley with it, up tight is Donahue. Cathedral slowing things down a bit with this 19-point lead. Armand Franklin has 27. Turn and face, finds Welsh in deep. He steps through a double team, but missed the shot against Stroud's contest. Here comes Donahue the other way.
Looked like either him or Brunk got a hand on it. Again, just good defense from Roncalli.
Stroud in the high post, threw a pass that Hensley stepped in the lane and stealed. Hensley contested at the rim, and Stroud fouled him. Turnovers continue to mount for the Rebels. Stroud's foul, his first, team seventh. Hensley was fouled in the act regardless. He has 11. He's one of 2 Irish players in double figures. Franklin has a game-high 27, Armand Franklin. 4:22 left. Free throw by Hensley trickles off. Played his freshman year at Chittard, did Hensley, before he moved over to Cathedral. Long, rangy shooter. You have to think he'll play somewhere next year. 4 in the quarter for Hensley, 12 in the game. 57-37, back to a 20-point lead. And a foul call away from on the play on James Franklin. He can't believe it. That is the 6th on Cathedral. Franklin's third, team 6. So the Rebels at the bonus doorstep. The rest of the way, Cathedral already there. Brunk picked up his dribble, tried to find Donahue on a back cut, stolen by Armand Franklin. Up the wing, bounced across the paint to James Franklin. Hensley trailing, slows it down to Comer. Halfway through the final quarter. Comer taking his time, dribbles to the corner, hands to Armand Franklin. Armand Franklin backs it out. 2 of the last 3 games, the Rebels have seen Kobe Barnes and Armand Franklin, arguably 2 of the 5 best players in the state. Barnes had 31 for Floyd Central.
Just experience that Roncalli needs when they're going to play teams like Pike and Ben Davis.
Division I college seniors, that they're facing. In the corner, Comer. Chuck McGinsey heads to the table and will step in. Jason Delaney holding the ball. James Franklin in the corner. Hensley left alone for 3. Good. Hensley with 7 in the quarter, and the lead is 23. High-low lob into Berger. He's swatted at the rim by Welsh. It ricochets, the shot does, off of Comer out of bounds. Boy, it sure looked like Berger was fouled there. Here comes Spearing. First time we've seen Nick Spearing tonight, 6'1", the junior, and Chuck McGinsey, the 6'3" junior, checks in. Brunk and Berger have a seat.
As a big man, I'm going to push hard for Berger's case there. He got a lot of arm on that shot.
Jordan is in for Armand Franklin, who presumably is done for the night with 27 points. Nick Spearing inbounds baseline left, 3:07 to go. Rebels trail by 23. Off the inbound, Denny lost it off the end line, but Jordan knocked it free. Touched it last, it stays with the Rebels. Togg returns. Hensley checks out, presumably done for the night as well with 15 points for the Irish. Spearing baseline left. Looks into Stroud. Stroud's pass is deflected. Loose ball on the deck. Who's got it? McGinsey. Chuck's tied up at the timeline, and the arrow favors the Rebels. So we stay at the home end. .257 to go. Spearing, far side corner to Donahue. Bump down the baseline against Comer, put it up, no, but he drew the foul with 2:48 to go. And both coaches starting to go deeper into their bench in the final 2:48. Comer's foul, his 4th.
At this point, you just want
Team
to
7th.
avoid injuries, things like that.
Yep. Donahue's first one's up and in. He's into double figures with 10. Thomas Felmuth is in, replacing McGinsey. Felmuth was supposed to come in for somebody other than McGinsey. Well, McGinsey can't come back in. He can't come back in. McGinsey came out. Felmuth came in for him. That is not a good look.
No.
So Felmuth came in for McGinsey. He was supposed to come in for Denny. McGinsey came out. The clock has to roll before McGinsey can return. Donahue's second free throw is good. He still can't come in. Now players start to roll in for the Irish. Nicholas Drays is in, as is Isaac Farah. Drays a 5'11 senior, Farah a 6'8 junior. .60-39, the score. Rebels trail by 21. Comer's the only Irish starter still on the floor. You have to think he'll be out soon. He's only a freshman. Togg high right, both teams over the foul limit. Farah at the rim. Throws up a shot off the top of the backboard. Tap no on the rebound attempt, and Stroud clears it out to Donahue. Now Aiden Leffler will make his varsity debut here in a minute. The freshman, a solid player in the JV team and starting quarterback for the Rebel football squad. Felmuth down the baseline, cut off on a drive, hands to Denny. Denny, stop and go move to the bucket, lays it up and in with the left hand. Timeout, Rebels. Michael Wants just trying to get his subs into the game. So now all 11 Rebels who dressed tonight have seen the floor. Leffler is in for the first time in his varsity career. Rebels won the JV game earlier tonight, 46-40 to improve to 6-3 on the season. Felmuth, Spearing, McGinsey, Leffler, and Donahue, the Rebel 5 on the floor. Jordan, Drays, Comer, Togg, and Farah out there for the Irish. 60-41, and a travel out front on Togg. Lawrence Central is all over Hamilton Southeastern after 3 quarters, 71-40. 60-41. Inside, 100 seconds to go. Down the lane, Donahue flipped it up, but he got too deep and threw it off the bottom of the rim. Jason Delaney wanted his squad to push it up. Instead, Comer walks it into a double team, finds Togg on the far sideline. Cross-court skip. Dre is all alone to set a 3. That's no good. Donahue takes the rebound the other way. Donahue leaves for Leffler. Aiden's first touch. Spearing tried to force it to McGinsey, and the pass kicked by Farah. Rebels reset with 1:11 to go.
It was just, I felt like Roncalli played a good game. There was just all the little things that Cathedral did and Roncalli didn't do. And
well, they'll have buyer's remorse about that turnover number upon review tomorrow. Leffler has it right side. Spearing out front. Drives, lost the handle. His pass deflected into the bench by Togg. 1:01 to go. Rebels trailed 38-33 with 1:40 to go in the third. In deep to Leffler. He kicks it out to Spearing, who fumbled it. Inside, a minute left. Donahue has it. Felmuth on the wing. Spearing. Leffler in the corner, puts up a 3. Bang! He got it. Aiden Leffler for 3. His first points in a varsity uniform. Aiden Leffler getting an opportunity tonight, the freshman. No more for his gridiron exploits, but I think he'll be a force on the hardwood before it's all over. 44 for the Rebels, 60 for Cathedral. In the corner, Dre's thought about a 3. I don't think Jason Delaney wants his team to shoot anymore. 20 seconds to go. 44-60. And Comer will indeed dribble it down out at the right point. So the number 6, Cathedral Irish. Comer still dribbling, waiting for the final horn. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1, and that'll do it. The 6th-ranked Cathedral Irish come down to the south side, and the Rebels trailed by 5 late in the third, but Cathedral pulls away and wins by 16 here at the Woodshed. Our final score tonight, Cathedral 60, Roncalli 44. Stay tuned, we'll step out when we come back. Nick and I will tell you all about it on tonight's Steve's Flowers and Gifts postgame show. It's upcoming and it's next on CBS Sports 1430.
McDonald's proudly introduced.
Every day, we go farther, try harder, and do things others think are impossible. But for people who are passionate about what they do, it's normal. At Ortho Indy, we make sure of it. As the largest sports medicine group in Indiana and the official orthopedic provider for the Pacers, our specialists work to treat your injury from diagnosis to recovery and get you back in the game, because you were built to perform. Ortho Indy Sports Medicine, helping you get normal back, whatever your normal looks like.
With a 60-44 loss to Cathedral, the 6th-ranked team in the state in Class 4A. Let's take a look at how tonight unfolded. Rebels trailed 15-8 after 1. Roncalli was able to get within 4. Middle of the second quarter, Cathedral was able to push it back to 7. By halftime, 28-21, each team with 13 points in period number 2. Pivotal swing was in the third quarter. Roncalli was hanging around, trailed by 12 early, trimmed it to 5 at 38-33 with around 2 minutes to go in the quarter. But then Cathedral closed the quarter on an 11-0 run, extended that run with 5 more points into the fourth quarter. All told, it was a 16-0 run, and by the time the Rebels scored again, they found themselves down 19. Both teams scored 11 points in the final period. Cathedral's biggest lead was 23 before the Rebels scored the final 7 points of the game to settle up the margin at 16, 60-44. Nick, certainly the turnovers are going to be probably the lead story for this ball game for the Rebels. Defensively, they were able to do some good things, but Cathedral was able to, unlike the first half, Cathedral was able to get some easy run-out buckets in the last quarter and a half to get to 60 points. Otherwise, the Rebels would have held them somewhere in the low 50s.
Yeah, and we talked about it throughout the game, and Coach touched on it before the game. It was just, I felt like a lot of things that Roncalli knew that they could not do. Otherwise, they were going to give up a large run like they gave up in that third quarter. So, like those live ball turnovers, giving up some easy three-pointers, those sorts of things when you're playing the number 6 team in Indiana, you just cannot do. Otherwise, you will start to give up those large runs.
Well, we're going to take our first and only break here in the Steve Flowers and Guest postgame show. When we come back, Nick will run down tonight's totals. We'll hand out our player of the game, and we'll look ahead to a busy schedule next week here on the network. All that coming up after this on CBS Sports 1430.
Steve Flowers and
hour. So we need to step out quickly for 10 seconds, pausing for this station identification, reminding you you're listening to Roncalli Basketball on CBS Sports 1430. Attention to the final numbers in this Cathedral 60-44 win over Roncalli, and Nick has those.
For your final numbers tonight, we'll start with Roncalli. Aiden Looney had 2 points, both from the foul line. He was 2 of 2. Jacob Denny had 13 points, going 5 of 7 from the foul line. Brandon Berger had 3 points and was 1 of 1 from the free throw line. Anthony Donahue had 11 points. 6 of those was from the free throw line. He was a perfect 6 of 6. Daniel Asher had 10 points, 2 from the foul line. He was a perfect 2 of 2. Alex Stroud had 2 points, and Aiden Leffler had 3 points to close out scoring for Roncalli. In the game tonight, Roncalli had 20 turnovers, was 2 of 9 from the three-point arc, and was 16 of 18 from the free throw line. For the Cathedral Irish, Armand Franklin had 27 points, 7 of 8 from the foul line. James Franklin had 4 points. Togg had 3 points. Hensley had 15 points, going 1 of 2 from the foul line. Welch had 3 points. Comer had 5 points, going 1 of 2 from the free throw line. And Haven Montefalco closed out scoring with 3 points, 1 of 2 from the free throw line. Tonight, Cathedral had 9 turnovers, was 6 of 16 from the three-point arc, and was 10 of 14 from the free throw line.
Well, we turn our attention now to tonight's Ortho Indy star of the game. Rebels had 3 in double figures, and normally that is a harbinger of good things, as over the last 4 seasons, the Rebels came in tonight 29-5 when having 3 in double figures, but that was not the case tonight. Jacob Denny led the Rebels on the scoreboard with 13 points. His 7th double-figure outing in 9 games. And the senior guard for the Rebels is tonight's Ortho Indy star of the game.
At Ortho Indy South, their mission is to provide the highest quality, comprehensive bone, joint, spine, and muscle care to patients throughout the Midwest, the United States, and around the world. From diagnosis through recovery, their team is ready to get you back in action. Choose Ortho Indy South to be your official orthopedic provider.
Well, we update the records. Actually, before we do that, let's look at some scores. A couple of finals that we do have. Carmel on the road defeated Center Grove tonight 47-37. The Greyhounds ranked number 2. Center Grove ranked number 8 in Class 4A. Zionsville came back to defeat Brebeuf. Did not get a final in that, but we know that the Eagles rallied in the second half to win. And Warren Central on the road, the top-ranked team in the state. Got a season-plus undefeated streak. They won 49-40 at Lawrence North. We do know also that Lawrence Central, the number 7 ranked team in the state, they are up north of 25 points in the fourth quarter on the road at Hamilton Southeastern. We update the records. The Rebels dropped their 3rd straight game, fall to 2-7 on the season, 2-3 here on the home court. Meanwhile, Cathedral wins its 9th in a row. 3-2 are the Irish on visiting team or on home team floors. Cathedral will next be in action next Wednesday night at Carmel, whereas the Rebels return to play next Tuesday night in the opening round of the 16-team Marion County Tournament. For my money, the most difficult in-season tournament in the state of Indiana. For the 2nd straight year, the Rebels will play the North Central Panthers here at the Woodshed in the first round. Rebels won last year in that matchup, 67-57, in what was North Central's first ever visit to the Woodshed. Panthers will be back here on Tuesday night, and North Central also working through a young team, Nick. They graduated a lot of players like the Rebels did, and the Panthers came into tonight's play 3-6, and they were handed a loss by Ben Davis tonight, so they'll be 3-7 when they come in here next week. So not much time for the Rebels to regroup. A North Central team that will be hungry to get back in the win column like the Rebels will be in here on Tuesday night.
Yep. I think Roncalli needs to look past this game. Not look past. They obviously have some things to take away from this. But they can't get caught up in what were some struggles tonight, I feel like.
Well, we'll have that ball game for you on Tuesday night when the Rebels take on North Central. That will be with that county tournament game coming. That will be an earlier start time. That's a 7 o'clock start. So we'll be on with the pregame show here on CBS Sports 1430 and the Rebel Media Network and YouTube as well, all coming at 6:45 on Tuesday night. We're joined here on the postgame show by Rebel head coach Michael Wantz. As soon as we get Coach's microphone all squared away, we'll be good to go. I think we're ready to go now. Coach, we were talking at halftime. You had held the Cathedral team that was averaging 72 points, just 28 points in the first half. I know Armand Franklin was able to get some looks, but how did you feel about your defense in that first half?
Well, the pace of the game and the score we certainly liked, but then, I mean, within the first 2 possessions of the second half, we had us at 15 turnovers. And, like, just imagine, like, how many runouts we gave them to them only to get 28. And, just same old story. Everybody probably go home here. Those Roncalli boys, they sure play hard, but we got to be able to play against the top teams in the state, and we got to be able to. We battled tonight and competed, but we not. I don't want to speak in absolutes, but very rarely did we get into a basketball play that we wanted to get into. We just couldn't because we're not tough enough.
Well, how much of that was execution? How much of that was what they were showing you defensively?
Well, it is. It's absolutely what they were doing, but they just can't take us out of our execution. Like, we still have to be able to run our stuff. So, I mean, it just looks like we don't practice when we just run around like that, and it's just unfortunate. We just got to get better, and we don't have much time to do it for the county tournament.
So how do you change that? Because you were right. I feel like there was just a whole bunch of little things that weren't executed properly. So how, especially in the middle of a season, would you go about changing that?
It's a good question. I don't know. We can't change personnel right now, so we just got to continue to work with them and continue to work and try and get them tougher. And, every one of us has a pretty big hole in their game that we need to somehow become more complete players. We're all specialists, and we can't win like that. We can't, whether it's you can only score in the post if you have an angle, or you can only make a three-point shot if you're wide open, or if you can't bring the ball up against pressure. We just got to continue to work to make more complete players and get a more complete game plan. They did battle, but it's just not enough against a good team to feel like you competed when you got to be able to get into your basketball plays.
Right. You mentioned the short prep time. County tournament starts on Tuesday. For my money, as I said earlier, the most difficult in-season tournament in the state, 16 teams. Quick turnaround. North Central will be here on Tuesday night. Like you, they're a team that's young and looking to get a win.
Yeah.
And they were lost to Ben Davis tonight, so they'll come in here 3-7.
It'll be two young teams. Won't be dissimilar, though, from the pace that they'll want tonight. And Coach Warnke's been working on them. We'll put Cathedral to bed tomorrow in the morning with some film and get working on North Central.
Coach, we appreciate a few moments for us, and we'll catch up with you on Tuesday.
All right, guys, thank you.
That's Rebel head coach Michael Wantz. We appreciate him taking a few moments for us here on the Steve's Flowers and Gifts postgame show. Cathedral with the win tonight improves to 45-11 all-time against the Rebels. Irish have won 19 out of 25 games here at the Woodshed, and 10 of the last 12 overall. Well, Nick, you heard Coach talk about it. A lot of things that the Rebels have to clean up and not a lot of time to do it, but the season is still not to the halfway mark yet, and there's a lot of games left, a lot of home games left. And so you can't dwell too long. If you're a Rebel player, you can't dwell too long on what you haven't done. You instead have to look forward and focus on what you still can do.
Yeah, and I think he brought up an interesting point when he talked about everyone's hole in he didn't obviously address specifics, but he said that most of the players have a hole in their game that was taken advantage of, I felt like, tonight. Johnny Brunk was forced to his right a lot, even though his power hand is to his left. When he tries to run everything to his left, James Franklin forced him to go right the whole game, and he really struggled with that. And so I think for Roncalli, looking forward, they can't be focused on what they couldn't do tonight. I think they have to instead focus on what they did do tonight. They held a team averaging almost 72 points per game to 60 points on the night, and that's really solid defensive effort. So it's a quick turnaround, but I feel like if they can get back into the right mindset, they'll have a good run.
Well, we'll be back with you on Tuesday night for that county tournament opener. 7 o'clock our tip time, 6:45 our pregame show time. And it'll be available here on CBS Sports 1430, RebelMediaNetwork.com, and available on the Roncalli YouTube channel. Again, beginning at 6:45 with the pregame and 7 o'clock with the tip. Want to thank you so much for listening tonight. Want to thank our great crew who was responsible for bringing you the broadcast on 3 different platforms tonight, CBS Sports 1430, RebelMediaNetwork.com, and YouTube. Tonight's broadcast, as always, has been a production of the Rebel Media Network. The executive producer is Gary Armbruster. Our supervising producer on the video side is Stefan Welsh. Our student directors tonight, Mackenzie Myers and Jacob Taylor. Our studio engineer, David Kahn, keeping us on track and on time. Our CBS Sports 1430 flagship. The network producer is Katie Ayers, and our technical director is Darla Coop. For Nick Michael, I'm Rob Brown. In our final tonight from the Woodshed, Cathedral defeats Roncalli by the score of 60-44. Until we talk to you next time, on behalf of our entire Rebel Media Network crew, it's been Rob Brown saying so long, everybody.